please welcome Michael Kopp.
All right. John, thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here and be able to talk about one of my absolute favorite topics, which is freedom. And this is a presentation that's brand new. I've been talking about freedom and personal responsibility for many, many years now. But this is the first time I've actually been able to combine the two into one presentation. And I have to admit, it was really fun to put it together because, these concepts are powerful and they really are two sides of the same coin, right? We cannot have one without the other for very long. So let's jump into it. We're gonna talk about three major points today. And the most important point is right in the middle. So when we get to that, I'm going to emphasize that. And, we're going to have three resources if you guys want to pick these up. I have their scan codes and email. Any of these are of interest, please reach out. Let me know. We'll send these to you. But this is really the important point, right? Right now, because we matter more than ever before. We really do. And the reason is, for the first time in human history, work and the location of work have been decoupled. Let's think about that for a second. This is epic. First time in human history, work and the location of work have been decoupled, right? We go all the way back to the agrarian society, right? The hunter-gatherer, right? You had to be there to hunt, you had to be there to gather, right? And then we started to form these agrarian societies, but you had to be there to tend the animals or pick the plants, right? Again, then we moved to the Industrial Revolution, huge change. But people had to show up at a factory to work the machines. But then all of a sudden in the 1970s, people were starting to get this idea of this. In fact, Alvin Toffler and John Nesbitt, they had this incredible concept called post-industrial society. Remember that word in the 70s, early 70s, post-industrial society, right? But what did people do? They got in their car and they sat in traffic 2 hours every morning and 2 hours every night to do what they could do from home. Right? This is huge. This change, this post-industrial change, is as big as the Industrial Revolution. And by the way, here's why the culture of business stayed the way it did. Frederick Winslow Taylor, back in the early 1900s, Henry Ford hired him to come up with industrial management, right? How to work in factories, industrial management. But the management philosophy of corporations in the post-industrial society maintained this. And the bosses, right? If I can't see you working, maybe you're not, right? And the workers thinking, well, you know what? If I ask to work from home, because I can work from home, I do this all day or do this all day, right? I'm not going to get that promotion. I'm not going to get that raise, right? But all of a sudden, not really COVID, but the government's reactions around the world to COVID, lockdown, stay home. It broke this, it decoupled work and the location of work for the first time in human history. And I can tell you, if we're talking about peeling the onion, we are just right now peeling the brown little skin off the outside of the onion. This is going somewhere. And where I hope it goes, and where we as leaders in the freedom movement have the opportunity, that's why we matter more now than ever before. We do. Because this moment of freedom is upon us. This is huge. It is epic. Okay? And there really are a world of options. Right? And that's what we do. We help people find opportunity and freedom around the world. And this is our opportunity. The freedom is upon us in a new way, in a revolutionary way. But we have to earn the right to keep it. And folks like us in this room and what we do, putting the message out, this is our opportunity to do that. But look what Freud says, right? And V too. How many people have seen the movie Vendetta? Yeah, okay, I figured, hey, yeah. Okay, so he quotes Freud, right? I mean, people are afraid of freedom, right? Because of this personal responsibility aspect. If I have freedom and I want to be meaningful in that freedom, then I must obtain and hold on to personal responsibility. And that's hard. Oh my God, what a cynical guy, right? I mean, look at this cartoon somebody drew, right? Human beings live in anguish. They're in a cage, but the door is open, but people don't want to get out, right? It's a pretty cynical view of society, but I think probably true in many ways. We see that. It takes courage. It takes strength. It takes perseverance to be personally responsible. It's challenging to be personally responsible, isn't it? But the alternative is this, the nanny state. I love this. Total bliss is just one more regulation away. I mean, pretty sure some bureaucrat wrote that, right? But check this out. There are 13 instructions on how to use an escalator. My goodness, right? This is nonsense. But that's nonsense. But this is serious. Look at all these agencies. This is U.S. federal government. All of these. See, the nanny state, this is the thing, and this is where we're going. I said we were going to get to something really important in the middle. And we are going to get to something really, really important here in a second. All of this, from a U.S. perspective, from a United Nations, a Europe perspective, all of this is all about putting us in a bubble so that we get comfortable, right? And then if something happens, we can go report it and have the government to come help us out, right? I mean, this is insane, right? Don't climb on the rabbit, right? So I raised a couple girls in Nicaragua. I moved to Nicaragua back in 2002 with my 2-year-old daughter, Amanda, and my children got to do fun things that children should be able to do, right? Forget climbing on that rabbit, right? I mean, these girls grew up in a very free location, right? Overseas. And that's really it, right? We can be more free if we choose where we live and we choose to live in a freer place. And we did, right? But let's talk about self-preservation, because here's what's happening, right? We have these 2 train wrecks, and we as individuals have the ability to escape 2 train wrecks. First is train wreck of debt. Right? I mean, look at this. I mean, this is the Eurozone. This is the dollar. I mean, the central banks are printing money like what? Drunken sailors, right? Right? This is insane, right? Look at the value, the purchasing power of the dollar over 120 years, the euro since inception, right? The purchasing power, right? It's just going down, down, down. And I think what's really important for us to understand as people who, I think somebody gave a presentation yesterday about Bitcoin, right? And this idea that some assets, hard assets, gold, Bitcoin, other physical things, they can preserve value and they can give us financial freedom. Right? Assets can give us financial freedom. But sometimes we forget about one of the most important freedoms we have, which is our personal freedom, right? Our liberty, the protection of this asset, the most important asset, us, right? And what we always really need to remember loud and clear, gold, crypto, things do not equal personal freedom. They might equal financial freedom, and that's important. But they don't equal personal freedom. Because there is a train wreck of freedom. Can anyone tell the difference between school, prison, and travel these days? Right? It's nonsense stuff, right? But there's cute cartoons, but this is serious stuff. This is very serious stuff, right? Do this, And here's a poor guy paddleboarding in California, right? I guess he was the people, they were afraid he was going to give COVID to the fish, I guess. I don't know, right? But put in handcuffs, right? But how about these guys? I mean, the California governor, right, that put him in handcuffs out at the French Laundry. And we know the rich and powerful don't have to play by the same rules. They don't. They never have. They never will, right? They never will. So we have to do what we have to do. And when there's train wreck coming and train wreck of freedom, right, we have 3 choices. We can enjoy the ride, catch the last train out, sorry, unless you're that guy, or the great news for us, because we're here. You all are here. You've invested your time, money, right, energy, right, to be here and to be a part of this movement, right? You are on the front edge. The nice thing about us, and many of us like us, right, is that we can actually buy the seat on the inside of that train because we're so far ahead of the curve, right? We need to be thinking about how we protect our freedom. And there are great ways to do it, right? You can get a second residency. I had a flyer, I saw a flyer out there, somebody must have talked to her. We'll talk about Plan B passports. We're a big fan of Plan B residencies, second residencies. Get a second residency in a country that will give you the freedom and preserve that freedom, right? And so there are ways to do that. If you're looking at residency, this is the first of the resources. Easiest is just freecities@ecidevelopment.com. Just send me a note. I've got 3 resources: the residency, the consumer resource guide, and the property investor guide. All 3, and I'll put up same slide again with the same scan and all that stuff in a minute. But like, these are great resources. They're free. We produce them, and they really cover a lot of the elements of how we maintain our freedom as very forward-thinking individuals. But now we're going to get to the most important part of the presentation, and that is, if you're considering a property overseas, the first thing we have to do is slow down and proceed with caution, right? We put together this resource in a minute. It's 15 questions, but it's really 3 simple principles. Buy what you see, own community, and know the developer, okay? Because we don't know what we don't know. And I don't know if you guys know what the thalamus is. So I'm probably the only speaker in this conference that's going to be able to say the next thing. I want everybody now to feel their butts sitting in the chair. Can you feel your bottom on the chair? But 30 seconds ago, did you feel it? No. The thalamus filters out 99% of all feelings and stuff that comes into this sensory perception, right? The thing about when we go overseas is we have to turn our thalamus off, because that radar screen, we have to start paying attention to stuff that we don't know that we don't know. We have to expand our radar screen, and we have to live on our toes and be on our toes, and that takes work and that takes energy, right? This is part of personal responsibility. It's a big part. We produced this consumer resource guide, great stuff, but check this out. How many people would imagine that you would actually have to get down on your hands and knees and look under a cabinet in the bathroom, right, to see if there was hot water? Because what that is a cold water pipe coming out of the wall with the Y splitter so that both taps up on top of a sink have water. Yeah, we're laughing, but yeah, right, it is funny, but we don't know what we don't know, right? And the showers are cold in many showers of Latin America, right? So we have to learn, we have to get tools to help us know what we don't know. But then there's also this other thing, the ego. We have to forget what we think we know. We bring assumptions, and assumptions can be very, very dangerous. And that's this part of the brain, right? It's the ego part, right? And so here's an example, right? And coming out of the consumers, does the property have stormwater engineering? And coming out of the nanny state, coming out of the U.S. and European zone, these great laws that require stormwater engineering, what happens when it rains, where's the water go, all of that stuff. We're in a nanny state, we're in a bubble. We make an assumption that it's just the same thing overseas. Well, guess what? It may not be. And when it's not, this is the stuff that happens. Right? We don't know what we don't know, and we have to forget what we think we know. This resource talks about 15 questions. Those were 2 of them. Very, very important stuff. Please, if you're thinking about owning a property in the developing world, any part, Asia, Africa, Latin America, outside North America, Northern Europe, you need this. If you're thinking about buying property overseas, please get a copy of this. You'll be happy you did. Because now we have a world of options, and intentional communities are absolutely popping up. They're wonderful. Agricultural communities, health and wellness communities, digital nomads, the being free. We're free again. We're free. We can go work from anywhere, and if we can work from anywhere, anywhere can be awesome places, right? Look what Alex says. But we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts. We're wrapping up. Nuts and bolts. But this is really what Alex said in a recent blog. Create a win-win situation for the host state. And we just heard Massimo what's happening in Honduras, right? It's really tough. It's really tough to get countries to understand that this is a win-win, but we need to present it that way, right? Klugman, right? Why not try doing these reforms all at once, but on a smaller scale, right? Sometimes I think we're trying to nibble at the elephant, right? No. Let's just take down the elephant in one big, instead of an elephant, let's make it a little hamster, right? Something, right? We're going to take it in a much smaller bite, but we're going to do it all at once. Powerful insight. Prospera is a place. Mark, he's speaking later with the project in Utila. I mean, these are places that are happening, right? People are taking that small bite and making it happen right now all together. We're building a Bitcoin village in El Salvador with Mike Peterson, right? So again, these intentional communities that let us do it, right? We have communities, this is our Grand Pacifica in Nicaragua, right? Plan B community, people looking for freedom, eco community, EMF free village coming soon. I mean, these are the things that we're doing to deliver that freedom in a small bite in a place that people really, really want to be, intentional communities. And we're going to wrap up with this, that responsibility does start with us, each of us, right? From the greatest generation, Winston Churchill, right? The price of greatness is responsibility. This is our chance to be great. The boomer generation, Bob Dylan, our chance to be heroes. A hero is someone who understands that responsibility comes with freedom. And then a voice of the new generation, Zuby, right? A rapper who's talking about freedom in his music and speaks all over the world about freedom and personal responsibility. These voices are here. These voices carry the message that is so important for us. And we're very honored to be a part of it. I hope you are as well. Please reach out. I thank you all very much. Yeah.
Thank you,
John,
Michael.
thank you.